In the sweltering stillness of a June night in 2009, the hum of a desk fan sliced through the heavy air of my office in Ashwood, Ohio, a small town where secrets festered beneath its quiet facade. I, Detective Clara Matthews, sat hunched over a letter that bore my name, its date, June 15, 2009, staring back like a grim prophecy. 32 years of chasing shadows, piecing together shattered lives, and untangling the dark threads of human despair had led me to this moment. A resignation letter, its ink unsmudged by my signature, a pen resting untouched beside it. My fingers hovered, brushing the cold metal, when a sharp knock shattered the silence. "Come in," I called, my voice steadier than the tremor in my chest. The door creaked open, revealing Officer Daniel, his sandy blonde hair damp with sweat, his nervous energy crackling like static. "Sorry to bother you, Detective," he said, his voice laced with hesitation. "But we've got a situation." I leaned back, my instincts prickling. Daniel wasn't one to flinch at shadows, yet his shifting feet betrayed a deeper unease. "What kind of situation?" I asked, my tone measured. "A missing kid," he blurted, words tumbling like stones down a hill. 8 years old, Oliver Hayes. Parents reported him missing an hour ago. Last seen in their backyard. The words hit like a physical blow. I closed my eyes, letting the weight settle, then met Daniel's gaze. "Where?" "Near the woods edge of town," he replied. The resignation letter slipped from my mind as I stood, the desk chair scraping the floor. The drive to the Hayes house was a tense cocoon of silence, the car's hum a faint lifeline against the storm brewing in my thoughts. Daniel's glances were sidelong, seeking reassurance I couldn't give. My mind raced, cataloging details, bracing for the unknown. When we arrived, the Hayes parents waited on the porch. Mrs. Hayes clutching a tissue, her husband rigid, his face a mask of pale dread. I stepped out, gravel crunching under my boots, and approached. "Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, I'm Detective Matthews. This is Officer Daniel." Mrs. Hayes nodded, her red-rimmed eyes spilling silent pleas. "Thank you for coming," she whispered, voice trembling. "Please, you have to find him." "We'll do everything we can," I said, keeping my tone calm, a lifeline in the chaos. "Can you tell me what happened?" Mr. Hayes spoke, his voice brittle. "Oliver was playing in the backyard. We were inside cleaning up, and when we checked on him, he was gone. Did you see or hear anything unusual?" I pressed. He shook his head. "No, it was quiet. Too quiet, maybe." Mrs. Hayes tightened her grip on the tissue. "We found his shoe," she said, her voice breaking. "Near the trees." I followed them to the yard, Daniel close behind. Near the tree line, a bright blue sneaker lay on its side, stark against the muted greens and browns of the forest floor. I crouched, examining it closely. The laces were tied, no signs of struggle, yet its deliberate placement sent a chill snaking down my spine. "Detective," Daniel called, his voice tight. I stood, following his gaze to a security camera mounted under the eaves. He held up a small monitor, the footage cued. The screen flickered to life, showing Oliver running and laughing in the backyard. Then he stopped. A light appeared at the frame's edge. A glowing orb, faint at first, then brightening. Oliver turned, head tilting in curiosity, and followed it, his steps slow, deliberate, until he vanished into the woods. The screen went dark. I stared, breath shallow. "What the hell is that?" Daniel shook his head. "I don't know, but it's not normal." No, it wasn't. And as much as I wanted to walk away, to let this nightmare fall to someone else, I couldn't. Whatever had taken Oliver lurked out there, and I was bound to find it. A week passed, but the weight of Oliver's disappearance clung like damp rot. Every dead end, every unanswered question pressed down, relentless. Then another call came. Another child, Lily Carter, vanished from Ashwood Park. The park stretched before me, its green expanse deceptively serene, the laughter of children a faint echo from the playground. Today it felt wrong. The air too still, the shadows under the trees too deep. I parked near the entrance, gravel crunching underfoot, and scanned the scene. Lily's parents stood near a picnic table, stiff and defensive. Mrs. Carter clutching a crumpled tissue. Mr. Carter with arms crossed, jaw set. I approached slowly, Daniel trailing. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter," I said, voice low. Mrs. Carter nodded. "Detective Matthews," she whispered. "Thank you for coming." I offered a small nod. "I'm sorry to meet under these circumstances. Can you tell me what happened?" She hesitated, glancing at her husband. He cleared his throat. "We were having a picnic. Lily was playing near the playground, drawing in her sketchbook. We were watching her right there and then..." Mrs. Carter pressed the tissue to her lips. "There was a light," she said, "near the swings, glowing, moving. I thought it was a reflection, but it wasn't." Mr. Carter's jaw tightened. "It wasn't normal. Unnatural. What did Lily do?" I asked. "She followed it," Mrs. Carter said. "She just got up and walked toward it, like she was in a trance. We called out, but she didn't look back. Then she was gone." Mr. Carter finished, voice hard. I glanced toward the playground, swings swaying gently. "Did anyone else see the light?" Mrs. Carter gestured to a young woman on a bench. "She did. And Lily." I nodded. "Thank you. I'll speak with her. Is there anything else unusual?" Mrs. Carter shook her head. "Just her scarf," she said. "We found it near the woods." "Show me," I said. They led me to the tree line where manicured grass gave way to forest. Mrs. Carter pointed to a low-hanging branch. There, a pale blue scarf dangled, frayed at the edges, draped with unsettling precision. I stepped closer, the scent of damp earth and pine filling my lungs. The scarf fluttered in the breeze, warm from the sun, but its placement felt too deliberate, a shiver tracing my spine. "Did you touch it?" I asked. Mrs. Carter shook her head. "No, we didn't want to disturb anything." Faint imprints of small footprints led toward the trees, stopping abruptly, as if Lily had vanished into thin air. "Daniels," I called. He stepped forward, expression grim. "What do you think?" I didn't answer, turning to the Carters. "I'll need to take this, and I'll speak with the witness." Mrs. Carter nodded. "Please, detective, find her." I gave a small nod, then turned to Daniels. "Bag this," I said, motioning to the scarf. As he retrieved it, I approached the woman on the bench, her toddler squirming for a fallen stuffed animal. "Ma'am," I said gently, "I'm Detective Matthews. I understand you saw something earlier." She nodded, grip tightening. "I did. A light, bright and strange." "Can you describe it?" I asked. She hesitated. "Round like a ball. It floated. I thought it was a trick of the sun, but it wasn't. It was alive, almost." "And you saw Lily follow it?" "Yes," she said. "She just got up and walked after it, like she couldn't help herself." I nodded. "Thank you. If you think of anything else, let me know." She nodded, eyes darting to the woods. "Do you think she's..." "We're doing everything we can," I cut in gently. "Thank you for your time." I turned to the tree line, shadows deepening as the sun dipped. That night, I sat in my office, case files spread before me. The desk lamp cast a harsh light over the papers, highlighting gaps. Oliver's grainy footage, Lily's scarf photograph. The connections hovered just out of reach, elusive as smoke. Several weeks later, the hum of the desk fan filled the silence. Lily's scarf and Oliver's sneaker pinned to the corkboard stared back, their faces from the files a silent accusation. The cases were too similar to dismiss, yet answers remained maddeningly distant. I hadn't signed the resignation letter. Each disappearance pulled me back, a tether I couldn't sever. Then the phone rang, sharp and jarring. "Matthews," I answered, voice rough. Daniel's voice crackled, tense. "We've got another one. 3, actually." I straightened. "Where?" "A farm on the outskirts. The Brooks kids. Grandparents reported them missing an hour ago, playing in the barn." "I'm on my way." The drive to the farm was long, the road narrowing through fields of tall grass and weathered fences. The barn loomed first, red paint faded, roof sagging. The farmhouse stood dark and unwelcoming. Daniel waited by the barn, hands on hips, expression grim. I pulled up, gravel crunching. "Detective," he said, voice low. "It's bad." We approached the barn, air thick with hay and old wood. The grandparents stood near the entrance, pale and drawn. "Mr. and Mrs. Brooks," I said steadily. "I'm Detective Matthews. Can you tell me what happened?" The grandmother's voice trembled. "They were playing hide and seek in the barn. We were in the house, watching from the window, and then they were gone." The grandfather cleared his throat. No screams, no struggle, just silence. "Did you notice anything unusual?" I asked. The grandmother hesitated. There was a light, a strange glowing light. It came from the barn. Her husband nodded. It wasn't natural, moved like it was alive. "Thank you," I said. "We'll take it from here." The barn door creaked as I pushed it open. Inside, the air was cool and heavy, sunlight filtering through slats, casting long beams. It was quiet, too quiet. Daniels followed, footsteps muffled. "What are we looking for?" he whispered. "Anything out of place?" I said, scanning the room. Near the center, something caught my eye. A small object half buried in hay. I crouched, brushing debris away. It was a figurine, no more than a few inches tall, carved from dark wood, depicting a creature with elongated limbs and glowing eyes, its posture hunched and menacing. A shiver coursed through me. "Daniels," I called, holding it up. He stepped closer, brow furrowing. "What the hell is that?" "I don't know," I said, turning it over. The wood was smooth, warm, edges worn. "It doesn't belong here." Daniel shook his head. "The grandparents didn't mention it." "No," I said. "Let's ask." Outside, sunlight blinded after the barn's dimness. I showed the figurine to the grandparents. "Do you recognize this?" The grandmother's hand flew to her mouth. "No, I've never seen that before." The grandfather shook his head. "It's not ours." "Thank you," I said. "We'll take it with us." Daniels gestured to the farmhouse. "There's security footage. Cameras installed last year after break-ins." "Let's see it," I said. Inside, the grandfather led us to a monitor, hands shaking as he found the timestamp. The screen flickered, showing the barn. The three siblings ran and laughed, voices faint. Then a light appeared, soft at first, growing brighter, pulsing. The children stopped, turning toward it, walking slowly, deliberately. The light drifted inside, and they followed. The barn door swung shut on its own. Daniels leaned closer. The door was latched. It shouldn't have opened like that. My eyes fixed on the screen, the light's deliberate movement. "We'll take this back to the station," I said, clutching the figurine, "and figure out what it means." The figurine sat on my desk, its carved edges catching the lamp's dim light. I couldn't stop staring, elongated limbs, glowing eyes, watching me, though I knew it was impossible. I bagged it, but now it taunted me. Daniels had left, muttering about sleep. I needed it too, but it wouldn't come. 3 more kids gone. The Brooks siblings' laughing faces cut off like a snapped thread. That light, always the light, intelligent, deliberate, taking them. The barn scene haunted me. The faint hay scent, eerie silence, unnatural scorch marks. After a sleepless night, I set out at sunrise, the figurine in my bag. By mid-morning, I stood in the university's physics department hallway, air smelling of coffee and dry erase markers. I knocked on Dr. Hargrove's door. "Come in," a calm voice called. He sat behind a cluttered desk, looking up as I entered. "Detective Matthews, I presume?" he said, standing. I shook his hand. "Dr. Hargrove, thanks for meeting me." "Of course," he said, gesturing to a chair. "Your message about glowing lights and disappearances was intriguing." I nodded, placing the figurine on the desk. "This was found at the latest disappearance. 3 children taken from a barn. Witnesses saw a glowing light. It's not the first time." He leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. "Interesting craftsmanship, but I'm not sure how it connects to the lights." "I'm not either," I admitted. "But it was left behind, deliberate like a marker. He nodded. Can you describe the lights? Spherical, I said. Bright, almost hypnotic. They move with purpose, like they're alive. Witnesses say they draw people in like a trance. He frowned. Could be advanced technology, drones or holograms programmed to move and emit light. But that doesn't explain the disappearances. Exactly, I said. He tapped the desk. If technological, they'd need a power source, a signal, something detectable. Have you checked electromagnetic interference or radiation levels? Not yet, I said. I'll look into it. He nodded. This doesn't feel like technology. It feels older, almost ritualistic. Thanks, doctor. If you think of anything else, let me know. He nodded, expression doubtful. I drove to the humanities building, its cluttered walls a stark contrast to physics efficiency. Professor Eliza Monroe's office was at the hall's end, door ajar. I knocked. Come in, she called. Inside, bookshelves overflowed with mythology and folklore. Scarves draped over chairs, artifacts scattered. She turned from the window. Detective Matthews, she said. I've been looking forward to this. I raised an eyebrow. You don't even know why I'm here. Oh, but I do, she said, gesturing to sit. You're here about the lights. I hesitated. Then Saturday, how did you know? Word travels fast in Ashwood, she said. Glowing lights, disappearances. That's my alley. I pulled the figurine from my bag, placing it on her desk. She leaned forward, fingers hovering. Where did you find this? At the latest disappearance, I said. 3 kids taken from a barn. Witnesses saw a glowing light. She nodded. It's a will-o'-the-wisp. I frowned. A what? A will-o'-the-wisp, she repeated. Mythical lights in marshes and forests, luring travelers to their doom. Spirits, perhaps, or something more sinister. You think this is supernatural? I asked. She shrugged. Folklore often has roots in reality. Maybe these lights are a modern manifestation of an old legend, or the legend was inspired by something real, something we don't understand. I shook my head. I'm not one for ghost stories. Neither am I, she said, serious. But legends persist for a reason, warnings. That figurine's part of the story. I didn't respond, the idea too far-fetched. But her words lingered as I left. Back at the station, I buried myself in research, old newspaper articles, archived reports. A pattern emerged. Disappearances dating back decades, scattered across the country. In every case, witnesses reported glowing lights and something was left behind. A figurine, an artifact, an object out of place. The lights weren't random. They were deliberate, part of something larger. Several days later, I returned to the woods behind Oliver's house. The figurine heavy in my bag. The cases gnawed at me, each thread unraveling. The woods lingered, a splinter too deep to pull. Haunted by the figurine's weight, I felt compelled to go back, alone. The sun had set, streaks of orange and purple melting into darkness. The drive was quiet, the woods a jagged silhouette. I parked, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped out, gravel crunching. The air was cooler, damp with pine and earth. I clicked on the flashlight, stepping into the forest. The trees closed in, branches swallowing daylight. The ground was uneven, twigs snapping underfoot. I moved slowly, ears straining. The deeper I went, the quieter it became. No wind, no insects, just my boots' muffled thud. I paused, turning off the flashlight, letting darkness settle. Slivers of moonlight filtered through branches. I listened, waiting. Nothing. I turned the flashlight back on, moving as the ground sloped downward, trees densening. Then I saw tracks, faint, paw-shaped with claw indentations. Fox, maybe. I traced their path, noting how they weaved deeper. The air grew colder, my breath puffing. I was about to turn back when I saw it. A light, faint, flickering, hovering low, pulsing softly. I froze, watching. It didn't move, just waited. I stepped forward, cautious. The light shimmered, edges blurring. Then it blinked out, leaving darkness and an afterimage. I swung the flashlight, nothing. I retraced my steps, the tracks now a warning. The drive home was silent. The light's image burned into my mind. It wasn't just leading children away, it was watching. A week of relentless investigation yielded nothing. The light lingered, even as sun spilled through my kitchen window. Unease clung as I stared at the figurine. Then Daniel called, voice tight. "Detective, you need to get down here now." "What's going on?" I asked, grabbing my keys. "Feds," he said. "They just showed up, taking over the case." "What do you mean, taking over?" "They're saying it's a matter of national security. Want everything, files, evidence, the works." The drive was a blur, my mind racing. National security? Why now? At the station, the air was charged, tense silence replacing chaos. Daniel stood rigid, facing men and women in dark suits. At their center was Agent Wallace, tall, broad-shouldered, his presence commanding. He turned, eyes locking onto mine. "Detective Matthews," he said, voice low. "I'm Agent Wallace. Thank you for joining us." I didn't offer my hand. "What's this about?" "As of this morning, this investigation is under federal jurisdiction. My team will take over." "Taking over?" I repeated. "On what grounds?" "National security," he said simply. I stepped closer. "With all due respect, this is my case. I've worked it for weeks. You can't just—" "I can," he interrupted, calm but firm. "This is no longer a local matter." "What aren't you telling me?" His expression didn't change. "I'm telling you everything you need to know." "That's not good enough," I said, voice low. "These are children. Families counting on us. You don't have a choice," he cut in. "Hand over your files. All of them. Cease all investigative activity." I nodded, forced. He turned to his team. "Get to work." I watched them collect everything. Daniel shifted beside me. "What now?" I said quietly. "We keep going." He frowned. "You heard him." "I don't care," I snapped, softening. "This isn't about jurisdiction. It's about those kids." He nodded. "What do you need?" "Keep your head down, ears open. If they slip up, I want to know." That night, I sat in my home office, copies of files spread out. The figurine sat, taunting. The house was quiet, then a faint rustling, footsteps in the underbrush. I stood, pulling the curtain back. Beyond the tree line, a glowing orb hovered, shifting into 2 points like eyes, burning brighter, unblinking. The air grew heavier, colder. The lights dimmed, fading to darkness. I let the curtain fall, hands trembling. The lights knew I was looking. A week later, I stood on Harold Grayson's porch, the figurine in my bag. The woods were denser, air damp and chill. The cabin was weathered, smoke curling from the chimney. I knocked. The door creaked open. "You're Clara Matthews," Harold said, voice gravelly. "I've been expecting you." Inside, the air smelled of pine and metal. He gestured to a chair. "You're here about the lights." I nodded. "You've seen them?" He chuckled. "Lived with them since I was a boy." "What are they?" I asked. "Living things," he said low. "Not from this world. Intelligent, malevolent. They don't just take, they choose." A chill crept up my spine. "Since you were a boy? What happened?" "I was 8, he said, playing with my brother. Saw a light. He followed it. I ran for help. He was gone, no trace." "And the animals?" I asked. "Connected," he said. "The lights use them, scouts, messengers. Their eyes glow like embers." He fetched a leather-bound journal, sliding it to me. "Sketches, notes, everything I remember." I opened it, the first sketch, the figurine exact. "You've seen this before?" "Found one where my brother disappeared," he said. "Markers, maybe warnings." A phrase repeated. "They feed on fear, they feed on innocence." "What do they want?" I asked. "To take," he said. "They won't stop." I thanked him, leaving with the journal. The woods seemed darker, watching. I parked near where Lily vanished, journal in lap. Harold's words echoed. I stepped out, flashlight in hand, into the woods. The air was thicker, quieter. I crouched near a clearing, watching the swings. Hours passed, then a faint flicker, brighter, pulsing. I lifted my camera, framing it. The light flared, blinding. A figure stood, tall, shadowy, limbs elongated, eyes burning. Dread seized me. I ran, crashing through underbrush, not looking back. At the car, I locked the door, shaking. The drive was a blur. I retired the next day, the letter signed. In a mountain cabin, I carved wood, but at night, the lights lingered. Some nights I feel watched. Are you brave enough to delve into this darkness? Or will you turn away from the abyss? What would you do if those glowing eyes found you?